Vietnam, a land waking under a veil of mist. In these quiet jungles, the day begins like any other. But hidden beneath the soft morning light is a storm preparing to rewrite history. No one here knows that the silence of this dawn will soon be replaced by the darkest echoes of war. For the young American soldiers arriving here, Vietnam is not just another country, it's another world. Every step they take into this dense jungle pulls them deeper into a conflict they never fully understood and may never escape. The locals watch the newcomers in silence. They've seen armies come and go, but they've also learned one truth. In the Vietnam War, no one ever asks who is innocent. In a makeshift tent, commanders unfold maps that will soon determine life and death. Lines drawn by politicians far from the battlefield now become the paths young men must walk into danger. Saigon moves with the rhythm of ordinary life vendors bargaining, bicycles weaving through traffic, families starting their day. No. One imagines how quickly this familiar city will turn into a battleground. The thundering rotors of the Huey helicopters cut through the air. For many soldiers, this is the moment the war becomes real. The jungle waits for them, silently. In Vietnam, the jungle is alive. It whispers. It watches. And for those who enter it, the line between hunter and hunted begins to blur. The first shots come without warning. A flash, a roar, and suddenly innocence ends. Soldiers learn in seconds what no training ever prepared them for. The enemy is everywhere and nowhere. Through the crackle of the radio, fear bleeds into every word. We need help. It's the cry of men caught in chaos, praying someone, anyone, will reach them in time. Above the treetops, columns of smoke rise like black warnings to the sky. The war has begun, and it will swallow everything in its path. Before the day is over, the first wounded are carried out. Their eyes tell a story they cannot speak. Shock, disbelief, and a realization that survival is no longer guaranteed. A helmet rests silently in the mud. It once belonged to a son, a brother, a friend. Now it marks the cost of a war just beginning to unfold. For civilians, survival becomes instinct. A farmer flees with his child, carrying not just a child in his arms, but a generation caught between forces they never chose. As night falls, shadows come alive. Soldiers lie awake listening to every rustle, every breath of wind, knowing that darkness favors the enemy. On Vietnam's rivers, life has always flowed gently. But even here, whispers of war travel on the water. Peace becomes a memory carried downstream. In a quiet moment, a soldier opens a small notebook. He writes home, carefully choosing words that hide the truth. Because how do you describe a world collapsing around you? A young Vietnamese man is taken captive, in his eyes fear. In the soldiers' eyes confusion. War forces strangers into roles neither of them wanted. Then comes the rain, relentless, unforgiving. It washes away footprints, blood, hope, and the illusion that this war will end quickly. Beneath the earth, the Viet Cong built a world of shadows, tunnels stretching for miles. It is here in the dark where strategies shift and the war becomes a deadly chess match. A helicopter descends through a storm of bullets. Dust explodes around the landing zone. This is not rescue, this is survival bought second by second. In the jungle's darkness, every sound becomes a warning. The night patrol moves slowly, every step a gamble. Out here, fear is not the enemy, overconfidence is. A soldier freezes. Inches away, a tripwire glints under the leaves. One wrong move, and silence would turn to tragedy. In Vietnam, survival begins with noticing what others overlook. War does not knock before entering. It sweeps through homes, markets, and memories, leaving families with no choice but to run. Their only question, where is safety? A black zipper closes over a young man's face, a man who left home full of dreams. For his unit, This moment carries a cold truth: war has only just begun to collect its price. Thousands of miles away, a mother receives a letter she prayed would never come. Not written by her son, but written about him. War touches every home, even those far from the battlefield. The Mekong River, once a pathway of trade and life, has now become a channel of danger. Beneath its calm surface, unseen threats wait, silently. For American soldiers, one question haunts every patrol: where is the enemy? Because in Vietnam, the enemy is the jungle itself, blending, waiting, watching. In headquarters, maps blur into arguments. Strategies clash with political expectations. But on these papers, lines, colors, arrows depend the lives of thousands. Vietnam civilians stand in an impossible place, trusted by no one, feared by everyone. In their own fields, they walk like strangers. Late at night, doubt creeps in. Why are we here? Who are we fighting? And most painfully, how many of us will ever go home? In a small temple, monks tend to the wounded without asking who they fought for. In war, compassion becomes an act of quiet rebellion. Soldiers move through abandoned huts and empty fields. Every clue feels like a trap. Every quiet moment feels like the calm before another ambush. Then the sky opens. Monsoon rains flood the land, turning roads into rivers and foxholes into graves. In Vietnam, weather fights harder than any soldier. With shaky hands but unwavering courage, the medic works against time. His battlefield is measured not in miles, but in seconds. The narrow jungle trails allow only one direction forward. Each footstep presses into uncertainty. Every twig that snaps could signal an attack. Crickets, wind, leaves, and sometimes something else. In the stillness of night, danger sounds almost the same as nature. Parachutes drift down like slow-moving stars. Supplies are precious, but claiming them under enemy fire is a deadly race. In the darkness, a young soldier hides his tears. He tries to be brave. But in war, bravery sometimes means simply holding on for one more hour. A village burns. To some, it's a military operation. To others, it's the loss of everything they've ever known. War doesn't ask who is guilty. As soldiers regroup, a chilling truth settles in. This is not a short mission, not a clean operation. Vietnam is a war that reshapes every man who steps into it. The deeper the soldiers push into the jungle, the more the world they knew fades behind them. Every branch, every shadow, every breath of wind could be the warning of an unseen threat. Here beneath the earth lies a secret world. Tunnels carved by hand stretch like veins across the battlefield. For every soldier above ground, there may be 10 below. A sudden explosion tears through the silence. Bullets slice through leaves and bark. In seconds, the jungle transforms. From peaceful to deadly, and no one knows which direction to run. In the confusion, one soldier disappears. The unit whispers his name, but the only answer is the echo of distant gunfire. The medic crawls through mud, dragging bandages and hope. He has seconds to save a life, and the war gives him even less. Once the ambush ends, the jungle swallows every trace of the attackers. No footsteps, no bodies. Only silence, a silence that haunts every survivor. Suspicion spreads like wildfire. Soldiers search for answers. Villagers search for mercy. In war, truth becomes a shadow, always changing its shape. The beating blades of the Hueys bring reinforcements and brief hope. But even as they land, every man knows the jungle will soon test him. With the monsoon rains, the ground dissolves into thick, unforgiving mud. Movement slows, morale sinks, but the war marches on. Minutes after the attack, the enemy vanishes, slipping through hidden paths only they seem to know. Fighting ghosts becomes the soldier's daily reality. A flare streaks upward, turning night into a brief, terrifying day. In its harsh light, shadows twist into figures and figures twist into shadows.